Hi friends, this is a little different intro today because I am sharing a conversation I had last year with Corinne Crabtree. I think her information is so important, and as we are here in Women's History Month, I wanted to share her again for your benefit. She has been a mentor of mine since 2017, and I cannot tell you how much she has influenced my life. If you want an amazing role model in your life who can share tools and concepts with you in order to seriously own your life, in order to plan it in a way that works for you, please start following her. With that caveat, I will say, if you have any issues with, some sass, she might not be for you. She likes to drop an F-bomb here and there, but her heart is made of gold. And the way she loves her people is truly top notch. So without further ado, please take a listen to the original episode in its entirety. You are listening to the It's Your Time podcast, and I'm your host, Certified Life Coach Michelle Arnold Burke. And today I have a bonus episode for you in the Women's March Empowerment series, where I'm sharing a recent conversation with Corinne Crabtree, where we discussed creating the life you want in business and weight loss the No BS Women's Way. Welcome to the It's Your Time podcast, the podcast where busy professionals like you get the practical solutions and support you need to gain control of your schedule so you can strive to be the best in your career, but without the stress and overwhelm. If you're looking to increase your energy and decrease your stress, you are in the right place. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast, friends. I know I say this often, but I have a treat for you. And today, I really think that I have a treat for you because, to begin, this is a bonus episode in the March Women's Empowerment series, and I am so thrilled that you have been here with me along the way. I had so much fun speaking to all of the women who have been part of this, and today I am sharing a recent conversation with Corinne Crabtree. And before I get into her bio information, let me just share a bit of background for you from a personal perspective, because Corinne is one of the big reasons that I started the It's Your Time podcast. If you've been here for a while, you may recall it started actually in Mark's closet as the Drink Less podcast, and it has now evolved to the It's Your Time podcast. And that really started when I was in training at the Life Coach School. And we were finishing up a call where Corinne was the coach, and the leader of the call thought everyone had been called on that requested coaching for that week. And we only had, 4 minutes remaining in the class. And at that point, I realized that my request somehow got lost. And I will tell you, I had a moment to think. I had thoughts like, I don't know if I really want to bother them. I don't want to delay the class. But thankfully, past MAB raised her hand, and I will tell you, I struggled so much back then with the idea of being able to have control of my time, of my schedule, of my calendar. I for sure thought the job controlled not just my time, but my life. And in case you don't ever think that, it feels pretty terrible. And if you do think that, you likely know how it feels. And within the time that we had remaining, Corinne coached me in a way that totally changed how I thought about time. And from that point on, I was on a mission to help other women see how in control of your life you really are. She has since coached me on a number of things, including CEO mindset, and that is still a work in progress because I've always had such a strong story about what a great employee I am. And those are two different mindsets, right? So I will, as always, keep you updated for another podcast on that adventure, right? I'm also a member of her weight loss program. And listen, I've been back in the day with Weight Watchers. And even before that, I did that crazy grapefruit diet. And the work that she teaches is so different. It is life-changing, and it's making changes in a way that work for you so that they last for you. It's such a different perspective. Okay. Enough of my personal stories here. Let me tell you more about Corinne. Corinne Crabtree is a master certified weight and life coach. with a mission to help every woman break generational curses in order to improve their personal health and wealth. Corinne herself lost 100 pounds 15 years ago, and ever since, she has dedicated her life to teaching women how to do the same. Corinne Crabtree is one of the leading voices in the weight loss and business industries, and she's the host of the wildly successful Losing 100 Pounds with Corinne, which, by the way, has been downloaded over 50 million times in 160 countries. And over 1 million women have taken her free weight loss course, which I will have the link in the notes if you're interested in learning more. And Corinne now serves over 14,000 paid members in the No BS weight loss program. After being featured as an expert at the Life Coach School and having her business rank, listen to this, 1,052 in the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing businesses in 2022, Corinne founded the No BS Business Women's Membership as well. And that program provides online entrepreneurs with simple frameworks, tools, and the focus that they need to take action and build the business of their dreams. In addition, Corinne offers advanced weight loss life coach training for coaches, dietitians, and medical professionals who want to improve their clients' weight loss outcomes. You can catch Corinne on Facebook and Instagram, talking a lot of shit about the diet and online marketing industries, and her greatest passion is helping women get rid of their old shitty thoughts by using self-love to never quit on themselves again. Now, be sure to listen all the way to the end because I have a special contest for you. And without further ado, please take a listen and enjoy. I am so excited to have you here today. Can we just get started by you introducing yourself to everyone, share all of the goodness you see fit, like who you help and anything that's part of the magic?
Yeah, I'm Corinne Crabtree. I'm host of the Losing 100 Pounds podcast, founder and CEO of the No BS Business Women's Membership, founder and CEO of the No BS Weight Loss Membership, and I think I'm fixing to own a sports bar. So in about 3 to 4 weeks, my husband and I are buying a local sports bar that is our date night spot. And people joke around are like, why do you want to own a restaurant? It's like, we need a hobby. We love business. And so that's what we're doing.
Yes, exactly. That's so great. My sister owns a restaurant and she would probably say the same thing. What are you doing? But it's all good fun.
Well, most of us have, so I had 14 years of restaurant experience and my husband had 25 years of it. So when we tell people, they're always like, oh my gosh, you don't know what you're getting into. It's like, oh yeah, we do. We know exactly what we're getting into. We're just going to do it better than ever.
Exactly. And this is so much fun for me because when I started this podcast, it was the Drink Less podcast. And then you coached me on my terrible story about having no control over my time. And I realized like I am not the only one. And I think so many women feel like they don't have control in their lives, whether it's over drinking, overeating, time, work schedules. And I know you're on a mission to help women in generational ways. Can you speak to why and what that means for you and your businesses?
Yeah. So well, I grew up really poor, number one, like super broke poor. When we would go out to eat, my mom would always say, like, eat all you can at the buffet because we didn't know when we'd eat again. And so that fed, not only did being very poor lead to being overweight. So when I guess I was about 30 something years old, I decided to lose my weight. I mean, I had failed plenty of times. I had suffered with it all my life, but, when I lost my weight, one of the things I really remember thinking was not every woman has the opportunity to feel this good. And I knew that for me, I had not lost weight because I had done like some weird diet or I had beat myself down. I had actually fundamentally changed the relationship with myself. And so I knew then that I wanted to help other women do the same thing. Well, then I ended up building a huge business out of it. And I sat around again thinking like, oh my gosh, women just don't know that they have the opportunity to make all the money they want. Like I think about my niece who's 20. Now she's 21 now. I've been talking to her about, she's in college. I get to pay for her college. Like it's, I didn't go to college. It's such a dream come true for me, but I'm always telling her, please don't limit yourself on how much money you can make. Like, I want you to be thinking about the life you want to have. And then let's find a career that will help you like live the way you're going to want to live. And no one had those conversations with me. So when I created some money and some wealth and some success, I was like, shit, I want to teach other people like how to do this. Because for me, health and wealth were generational curses. No one in my family was ever healthy. Everyone was always overweight. And we come from a lineage of, broke ass people. So I just, it means a lot to me to be able to help other people do two things that I think historically women have struggled and suffered with for a long time.
Yeah, I think that is so important. I am always like such a big fan of the ripple effect. And man, yours is like waves. When you think about like your niece and all the other people, I think about my nieces and like things I learned from you and how it all trickles down. I just love all of it. And I think that oftentimes the way we do one thing is how we do everything in our lives. And I love your approach. Specifically, I'm thinking of like weight loss.
Mhm.
Basically, don't eat like an asshole and don't talk to yourself like one either. So can you maybe speak to your thoughts on the diet industry? You had mentioned that, and maybe even diet trauma and how you empower women differently.
Yeah. So a real key aspect of, well, no, the first big key aspect of my program is nobody needs another like weight loss pill, shake program, calorie counting app. We just don't need that stuff. The thing that really gets in our way is how we think. I always tell people, like, if I was to tell you, look, you can only eat 1,500 calories a day and you have a shitty day on Wednesday and you are stressed out and you come home, it does not matter how many calories I told you to eat. If in that moment, there's nothing else in the world that will help you other than ice cream. Like you will override that every time. So inside of my program, one of the things I really focus on is helping women, number one, just understand what the core problem of weight loss is. It is not what we're eating. It is all the reasons why we're eating. So we solve that root cause stuff, then it becomes so much easier to lose your weight. The problem with the diet industry is they're missing that component. Like they are giving us apps and they're giving, like, I think that there's great tools out there. I don't have anything against anybody who wants to count calories or they want to do a specific diet or whatever. That's all fine and good. But if your program isn't also teaching you how to deal with your life, how to be with yourself, how to talk to yourself, how to encourage yourself, you're missing the boat. And you'll never be, if for some reason you can lose the weight, I watch more people end up regaining their weight because they never worked on that internal conversation. And the diet industry, I call it diet trauma because they keep just ramroding technique down our throat. Very often the techniques are based in deprivation, extreme restriction. Like I always think about the stupid, what is it, that HCG? That's probably the one that I'm just like, oh, that's a load of crap. But you shoot yourself with something and you eat 500 calories a day, your body does not know you want to be thin. It doesn't give a toot about how thin you want to be. It just sits there and thinks, what are you doing? This is not good for us. So then every diet you do in the future, I don't care if you're doing it sensibly, it sounds off that tornado siren. And that's where that trauma impact happens. So what I teach my women is, number one, we got to solve the root cause. Number two, you are not at fault for how you think right now. Like the diet industry has totally misled us on what is really needed in order for us to lose weight. So it is no wonder that you feel like your brain is just a jumbled up mess of rules and restrictions and stuff. And then the last piece is just teach them how to unwind all of it. And you unwind all of it, then the basics of what it takes to lose weight, which is not much, they just happen pretty seamlessly.
And it's so funny. I will often listen to your private podcast when I'm driving and I literally will like die laughing. So I think the other component is it's just so much fun. It's a fun way to lose weight too. When you talk about like, don't be falling on your fainting couch, clutching your pearls. And I'm just like, where does she come up with some of this?
Oh
so
my
it
gosh.
just makes
I
different.
have a fainting couch now in my office. My members, they kept saying, the other day they were asking me about something. Oh, we just moved into a new house for everyone. And, they said something about my fainting couch. I said, funny enough, I now have one in my office. So anytime I need to faint at my own, amazement at something I say, or like shock and awe that I would think that I have a comfortable place to do it.
It's so funny. Do you think, because you're talking about the root cause around the weight loss, do you think for the business aspect, some of that is also the programming women receive as far as being able to have your own business and the limits to what we think we can make as far as money?
I do. I think that there's a lot that goes into it, but two of the big things that I think has been a problem for women historically is, number one is we were basically suddenly thrown into the workforce back in during one of the World War Wars, when they needed women to come out of the home. All the men were off fighting battles, and they needed linesmen. They needed all of us to do what men were doing, and we had to go home and take care of the kids. It was a huge shift in the way that women were now going to be thinking about themselves. It's like we used to just take care of the home, and now we had to not only earn money, but we also had to take care of the home. And that never left us, even to this day. And I am one of the most, feminist. My husband is like 50-50 at least, like we're in it together. Like we don't have a big patriarchy thing going, but I still watch myself. The dishes are dirty. Whose butt goes in there first? It's always me. It's like we just have all of this social programming that we need to make money. We need to, and only make the amount of money that we're allowed to make. We need to still take care of the family. We still got to be like hot for the husband. Like women just have so many expectations put on them. And I think it's important for us to start examining all that. I think the other thing that kind of ties into that is we've like, I know for me, I was never told that I could do anything I wanted to do and make as much money as I wanted to. I was always, my mom, God love her, she was 17 when she had me, divorced by the time my brother was 4. So my daddy, I think they got divorced when I was about 6. She had to raise me all her life. She did not have a college education. And in her mind, the best thing that I could ever do for myself is get you a job, do really good at it, but you better find a husband who can take care of you. Like to her, like that had to be the mission, because she had never been taught that a woman could make the amount of money that she wanted to. So I think we just have to, as women, be really careful about what we believe for ourselves. I think we need more examples of, one, we just need more women having these conversations, because the most of the women I meet, especially in business, no one's ever told them this stuff. Like they're like, what? Like, I think that conversation is being had more nowadays, but it's not as much as most would think, especially for women, I think over the age of about 45 or 50. They're really not hearing this. And so I think we need to have more of those conversations, but more importantly, I think we need to start telling our young girls a whole different story. That's why I like to talk to like my niece and stuff. I always remind her, like, you really don't just do a job. Like have passion and purpose, but I think it's important for all of us to think about the life we want to live. Like God love her, she's got my taste. She likes makeup and clothes and expensive hair products. I mean, she likes all the things. And I'm like, Lexi, that is not a cheap lifestyle. So you need to be thinking about your future in terms of, you'll be happier if you can fund your lifestyle. Yeah. So like, let's think really big for yourself and what you want to do, and maybe do your own thing for a while. So anyway, those are some of my just general thoughts about all that.
Yeah. And another thing, when you talk about the way we think about ourselves, and you coach me on this also, and I think there are so many women that think like this. Like, I think I have a very good job, multiple 6 figures in my corporate world. And I think oftentimes I'm lucky. And I think a lot of times women think of that being lucky, and that's not really what we should be telling ourselves, right?
No, I always like to ask, when people say that, I'm like, exactly how is luck playing into this? Like, tell me exactly how luck has played into this, because it never is. Like, no one's going to pay you multiple 6 figures if you're a lazy ass. Like, there's no way that you're just lucky they did. Like nobody's waking up saying like, hey, I just want to pay people lots of money today for no good reason. Like no one does that. Like I know personally as a CEO, I think about every single person in my organization. And if they're not producing good results, I'm not going to keep giving them a paycheck. So you are the creator of all of it. And I think it's important for women to not dismiss those things, to not say things like I'm lucky. And I'm all about some God and stuff, but saying I'm just blessed. It's like, well, you may be blessed, but here's what I do know about God. He puts things in front of you and expects you to go make those blessings happen. He's just not like, well, I'm just going to give it to Corinne because she's real funny.
Right. And speaking of funny, there was a call that I recently recall listening to where someone you were coaching and you said to them, I don't want you to give me that bullshit life coach answer you just read in a book. And can you maybe speak to why you think it is so important for women to really get clear on what is going on and how to make the changes in their lives so that they are lasting changes? So it's not just like, oh, rainbows, daisies, and butterflies. Yeah, I love my life.
Yeah. One thing I've been really teaching my clients is if you think about it, if you don't believe something, it's really hard to make it happen. And so, but a lot of times we think that in order to believe something, that we need that perfect thought that like, I'll ask somebody like, well, what do you want to think about that? And they'll give me like a 400-word sentence that sounds like, I'm like, what did you even just say? Like, you're really going to remember that in the moment that you want to eat an Oreo? Like, no, you ain't. So I always like try to get people to think about this. Whatever like shitty thought you're having, it's going to feel true. You wouldn't be having it if it didn't feel true. It's not like your brain makes up a lot of stuff that's like, it would be awesome if our brain made up the stuff we don't believe, but it doesn't. It only creates fantastic tales around stuff that already feels so true and whatnot. And I've been telling my members, whatever you decide to think other than that thought, it's got to feel equally as true, which means that it very often won't feel amazing. It won't feel highly motivating. It won't feel super exciting. It won't even feel lovely. It'll just feel true. And it will feel a little different than what you've been saying. It opened, like, I like to think of like when it comes to doing things, you don't need extraordinary belief. You need a crack in the door to know that it could be possible, just enough for you to peek around the corner, to make sure it's safe, to check out the next things that you're going to need that little bit of a shift of a thought so that you can like open the door a little more, maybe put a foot in to see what happens. Most of us, if we're ever going to achieve something great, it's a series of small pivots, changes, and steps. It's just like Amazon. It's not like Jeff Bezos woke up one morning and said, I'm going to build Amazon. And day 2, I'm rich. Like it didn't happen that way. And it's never going to happen for any of us. It's time and patience and consciousness and small shifts in how you think. And I just personally find that relieving because when I was for a long time, I was very stuck in my own self-coaching. So for your listeners, if you don't know what self-coaching is, it's basically the easiest way to put it is, how am I going to talk to myself like a coach would, like thinking about a sports team, versus how am I going to talk to myself like an asshole who wants to just yell at me and like be down on me and not teach me anything. And so I find it relieving to know that when I'm doing my own coaching, I don't have to come up with anything perfect. It just has to be a little bit different and a little bit better than what I'm thinking right now. And if it feels like it has some truth to it, it will stick. If it does not, if it's flowery and long and impossible and unicorny, if it doesn't have it's like, I wish I could think that, but that doesn't feel true. Don't even go there. Because if it doesn't feel a little bit true, it will not stick.
And when you're saying that, it reminds me, I did a podcast with Patrick Sweeney, the author of Fear is Fuel, and he related it to like going from A to not A. Like you might not get from A to B. It's just shifting a little bit more away.
I love that. That is a really good, from A to not A. That's a really good way to say that.
I was like, ah, yes, that makes sense. I mean, in my brain, yeah, I was like, okay, now I get it. And I think it's exactly what you're saying. And I love when Darren Hardy talks about like the compound effect, just like small
Mhm.
changes over time. And speaking of authors, I'm also, and I know you are a fan of James Clear and Atomic
Oh,
Habits. And one of your habits, foundational in both of your businesses, is planning. Can you maybe
mhm.
speak to why? Because you spoke earlier to like creating the life that you want. Like, why is planning so important in that process?
So there's like, I mean, it's such a good question. There's so many reasons why. I mean, like literally, I think planning is a superpower for anyone. And whether you are a really good planner or not, just learning to do it is what's going to help you be successful. But for me, like when I was losing weight, I usually just like when I noticed that I ate by the seat of my pants all the time. And when I ate by the seat of my pants, if I wanted to lose weight, it required perfect days. It required no disruptions, no like gotcha moments, no spontaneous plans, no bad moods, no nobody like letting me down. Like it just required so much perfectionism in life to make decisions on the fly. Because for me, what I noticed is that with food, if I relied on my in the moment self, I also was going to have to deal with the emotional part of my in the moment self. When I started planning what I was going to eat for the day, I planned with my best self in mind. And that best self took into consideration the type of day I was probably going to have. Like if it was, let's say I knew, like, let's say I know my husband's going to work really late. Because when I was losing weight, my son was little. He was between the 1 and 2 years of age. And he also was autistic, but we didn't even know it. So he pretty high needs, like sweet child, but good Lord, if something like if something disrupted him, like if he ever got out of his emotional window, it could be a couple of hours of a screaming fit. Like it was, like every day there was a lot of anxiety for me, just, like praying and hoping and wishing that we didn't have one of those explosions. And so when I would know that Chris was going to have to work late, I knew that I was also going to be with Logan during a tough time of day that Chris normally took over. And he would come in with fresh emotions and fresh energy. He hadn't seen the baby all day. He wanted to play with him. And I'd been with him all day. And my emotions were anything but fresh. They were depleted. I was done. So when I would plan my food on those days, I would plan extra food because sometimes, like at that stage of my weight loss, there was lots of little decisions that I could make that were better, but one of the things that I knew I wasn't ready for yet was not decompressing with some food. So if I knew that, then I could at least start planning better for those moments with food. Maybe like, do a little bit healthier of an option rather than just effort eating through it. And so for me with the planning, it was a lot about combining the part of me that knew what I most wanted, which was I really want to be someone who loses their weight, with the person that I knew that I was dealing with for the day, which might be stressed out, which might be anxious and stuff. The other thing when it comes to the business side, the reason why I love planning on that side is number one, you do plan more with the CEO mindset when you do it like first thing in the morning. Like you look at your day and you're planning your day from like the results I want for my company and the big things I want to get done. So I'm going to make sure I make space for that. What most of us do is we just wake up in the mornings and we just get busy. And I know my business is like everybody else's business. It has fires all day. It whines like a baby. It has attention seeking moments. It has all of it all day long. And if I don't have a plan that has the quiet moments that just need focus and work, and they're going to pay off long term, they have the end goal in mind. If they're not on the calendar, all of those fits and crying and whining of the business, they will take over and they will suck the energy out of the room. So I just feel like when you're going to be a success in anything, the more you can pre-think through things and schedule things, it's like, okay, I know I want to get these things done. I know I want to eat these things, whatever that is. and I can pre-think. And when I don't want to do it, what can I tell myself? What can I remember? When you do all that, you just set yourself up for more success. It doesn't mean that you'll be perfect, but the person who has pre-thought things out and planned things has an exponentially greater chance of success than the person who's like, just going by the seat of my pants. Like, I want to lose weight. I want to build a business. Let's see what happens today.
Yes, absolutely. And I think when people tell me like, I don't have time to do that, I'm like, no, then you really need to be doing it.
Yes. You don't have
So
time
important.
not to. Every time somebody tells me they don't have time to do that, I'm like, what else the fuck you got going on all day long? It's so important. Like, what is that? Like, show me your calendar of stuff that's more important than being very decisive about how you're going to reach your dreams and your goals. Usually they can't show me anything that's that important.
Yes. And that's the key, right? It's reaching your dreams and goals. And I think a lot of times, kind of where you started, right? As women, we're often like looking to take care of everybody else and everything else. And like, this is really changing the mindset of how we think about ourselves in our lives.
Yeah. Well, it's like, if without a plan too, if you don't have a plan, and I tell my weight loss clients this all the time, have a plan. Even if you're not following it, at least when you have a plan and you see the reality of what you're doing, you have more knowledge than the person who's just sitting around going, I don't know why nothing happens for me. It's like, if you have those two things that are starkly different, you can at least start asking yourself, all right, I'm not following, like, this plan seems so doable. I'm not following it. Now I can start figuring out, like, what am I allowing to get into the way of things? That's such a more intelligent question than like, I don't know what's wrong. Can you, like, I'm just like bewildered by it. It's like, you don't even get a good question when you're not doing any kind of planning.
Right. Because we'll make no changes in that victim mentality. So I love
Mhm.
that. That's so great. Have we missed anything? There's been so many different areas that we've talked about. Is there anything that we've missed?
I don't think so. Like, I just think for women, I think it just at the bottom line of everything for women, it's about remembering that, well, I do say this all the time. Women very often get shocked or they get upset when they don't believe in themselves. Like, I just don't think, like, I don't think I can build a business. I've never done it before. I don't think I can lose weight. I've never done it before. And I always tell women, the most amazing thing that I realized about success stories is, on day one, none of them believed they could do it either. Like, so go after your dreams with your doubts and fears, because no one starts on day one in 100% belief anyway. So you might as well get started.
I love that. I love how you also teach us to like just find the things that you can believe in and keep taking action towards that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much goodness. And you help so many people and do so many amazing things. How can we help you and how can people find you?
Well, you can, if you're interested in business stuff, you can go over to, well, there's one really good way. There is a free planner page that I give to people because, I mean, we were talking about planning. I am just a huge believer in productivity, and it all starts with just mapping out your day in a very simple way. If you sign up at freeplanner.nobsbusinesswomen.com, you will get the one-page productivity plan, and it will walk you through just a simple way to make sure that you can get started each day. Like, I just think that for building a business, if I didn't plan my day, then I know I would be stuck making almost no money because I didn't plan my day for many years and I made almost no money. My husband jokes around that we just didn't know it, but we were the world's best weight loss charity on the internet for like 10 years running. Unfortunately, they don't give you an award for it. So, but if you're interested in weight loss, you can go to nobsfreecourse.com and you can find out about my weight loss program and all the things there.
And I will say to anyone listening, even if you don't want a business, I think going to the free planner, like the the things you teach in your business membership can apply, I think, to so many, like, especially sales. It's so entrepreneurial in the field. Like, we're kind of doing our thing. And I think many people could benefit from all of the skills that you teach in there. And the weight loss part, I mean, that's just like a no brainer. Like, if you just want to have a good time, also, it's just so much fun for life coaching. Like, it's the
Mhm.
meta skills that you teach. So I think it's all also important. All right. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you inviting me on.
Okay, wasn't that great? I am telling you, she is changing so many lives, and I am going to leave all of the links in the notes. She has free content on Facebook for both the weight loss and the business memberships, and she has a business boot camp coming up. She has, as a reminder, the Losing 100 Pounds podcast. And honestly, it's really for anyone who wants to lose weight in a new way and in a way that will be the last time that you lose it forever and you feel amazing about yourself along the way. As I mentioned earlier, she has advanced certification weight loss coaching. There's just so much goodness. Be sure to check out the notes for anything that you think is going to be of interest to you. And speaking of goodness, I mentioned I have a contest for you. Today is actually my birthday, and it is the last one in this decade. And can I tell you, I feel like we're just getting started here. There are so many people that can benefit from this work, and I am thrilled that you are part of it with me. So I would like to give you a gift, and hopefully you will help to increase the ripple effect that we are making here. If you noticed, we mentioned the book Atomic Habits by James Clear in the podcast. So what I would love for you to do is take a shot of the podcast, or maybe even where it is that you're listening, and then tag both at Michelle Burke Coaching and at Corinne Crabtree. And I am going to pull one lucky winner out of all of the entries, and you will get a copy of the book Atomic Habits. It is for sure one of my favorites. Now, all entries need to be in by March 29th at 5 p.m. Eastern to qualify, and then I will just randomly pick an entry, and I will let you know when you're the winner. So much fun. Okay, friends, thank you for tuning into this special episode, and I will catch you again next week at our normal Thursday release date. Make it a great day. Take care. Did you know you can take this work to a deeper level with me one-on-one? Go to michelleburkecoaching.com and click on Get Started to begin.